This was Boris Johnson on Saturday ringing round Tory MPs begging for their nominations to be the next Prime Minister. By Sunday evening, he'd dropped out. This was the statement he made announcing that decision. In the last few days, I have been overwhelmed by the number of people who suggested that I should once again contest the Conservative Party leadership, both among the public and among friends and colleagues in Parliament. I have been attracted because I led our party into a massive election victory less than 3 years ago, and I believe I am therefore uniquely placed to avert a general election now. A general election would be a further disastrous distraction just when the government must focus on the economic pressures faced by families across the country. I believe I am well placed to deliver a Conservative victory in 2024, and tonight I can confirm that I have cleared the very high hurdle of 102 nominations, including a proposer and a seconder, and I could put my nomination in tomorrow. There is a very good chance that I would be successful in the election with Conservative Party members, and that I could indeed be back in Downing Street on Friday. But in the course of the last days, I have sadly come to the conclusion that this would simply not be the right thing to do. You can't govern effectively unless you have a united party in Parliament. And though I have reached out to both Rishi and Penny because I hoped that we could come together in the national interest, we have sadly not been able to work out a way of doing this. Therefore, I am afraid the best thing is that I do not allow my nomination to go forward and commit my support to whoever succeeds. I believe I have much to offer, but I am afraid that this is simply not the right time. So it's a very Boris Johnson style humble address. I could have won the next general election. I am the right man for the job, but unfortunately the party is not united enough behind me, and therefore I will take the decision in the national interest to refrain this time around from standing. There was, of course, much speculation about whether there really were 102 nominations or whether this was just Johnson saving face, but the secretary of the 1922 committee has since verified the claim. So apparently he did have the 102. Ash, I want your thoughts on that statement. Do you buy that Boris Johnson has, for once, put the national interest first, even though he could have become Prime Minister and won the 2024 general election?
That statement was a bit like, I would have gone to Wood Green car park to fight your big brother, but I didn't because I'd be too scared of killing him with a single roundhouse kick. It was the epitome of self-aggrandizement. It was very little about the national interest and everything about Boris Johnson's particular brand of narcissism. The real reason why Boris Johnson didn't push forward with his leadership bid, even though he was able to secure the nominations, is twofold. One is that he couldn't convince both Penny Mordaunt and Rishi Sunak to pull out, accept cabinet positions, and allow Boris Johnson to return to the fray of frontline politics unopposed. And the second thing is that if he did, in fact, go through to the membership, and if he did, in fact, win, he would still have trouble putting together a government. We had, not so long ago, Boris Johnson being beset by the largest number of ministerial resignations in this democracy's history. And you would have a Conservative Party which would be ungovernable. He would be really stuck in terms of trying to pass legislation. And the likelihood is that he'd be a sitting duck Prime Minister. So from Boris Johnson's perspective, this is the right thing to do, is you watch and you wait and you look for your next opportunity, which is what every opportunist is excellent at doing, is identify the closing window and waiting for an opening one.
It's got a kind of I'll be back element, hasn't it? Do you think we still haven't seen the last of Boris Johnson in frontline politics?
Well, look, we may have, we may not have, but what Boris Johnson can do in the meantime is take his Caribbean holidays paid for by God knows who and see if the economy gets better, see if Rishi Sunak totally fucks it, see if the Conservatives lose the next general election, because the position of being king across the water, which has been part of Boris Johnson's strategy for a really long time now in relation to Theresa May, set himself up as, this prime minister in waiting, is quite a good one, because what you do is you enjoy political influence, you fire off some comment pieces for the Telegraph to state your position and, do a little bit of horse trading, build up a power base for yourself, and then you swoop in when you think the time is right. It's something which demands very little of you and also means that you're not scrutinised the same way you would be if you're a prime minister, but has the opportunity, the chance that you could return to the top job if that's something which arises in his future. I mean, this seems like a really obvious choice for Boris Johnson. Don't go for it now and risk losing. Come in at a time when you're certain of your victory.
It's also only 58. I mean, I think he wants to become prime minister again, doesn't he? It used to be like, I don't know, it's such a bizarre state of mind. We're like, I want to be prime minister again. I can't believe they didn't give me the chance I deserve. Of course, none of it is with any political project. Why does he want to be prime minister again? What does he want to do? What's the aim?